Hi, welcome to Soul Clinic with Chang. That is the new channel name. And I should be looking a lot better, or this video in general should be looking a lot better because I finally figured out a way to use my iPhone in conjunction with the MacBook as a camera. So I it's called continuity camera if you're interested, if you use both iPhone and MacBook or a Mac. That's a useful tool. And I don't know why it took so long for me to figure that out. Anyways, you might hear my wife and my son playing in the background because it's Sunday. But we're today talking about how to find the music within and how to let it play out in your life. And essentially, although it may sound kind of poetic and at the same time impractical, despite that, language is why you're here. And it is the whole point of this life, really. And there's a reason why I use that particular language because 2 days ago on Friday, we had my son's 5. He just turned 5, and not just a couple months ago. And at his daycare center, we had a community, what's it called, mini concert thing, where the parents from the parents of the children in the daycare center, they had a chance to perform in that concert, and I was one of them. And I play classical piano and as an amateur, but I always wanted to play like a professional, and as such, I take it very seriously. I practice a lot, and I'm happy to report I may or may not upload the video I took from that concert. It was okay, but not as polished as I would have liked from my standards, anyways. So it was a very interesting experience, and it reminded me of why I play classical piano and how it is all about the music finding you, not necessarily you playing, you engaging. Although we do need the our body as a physical vehicle, even if we just sing, then we use our own body as the instrument without an instrument, without a musical like external instrument. We do need our body to let the music play and flow. So some people, actually most people who don't play musical instruments, or they do, but then they don't aren't at, necessarily at the level where they can play a piece in front of others. Most people just find themselves enjoying the music that's being played by others, which is fine. It is better than nothing. And it actually adds flavor and more enjoyment to our lives. But at the same time, if you are anyhow musically inclined, they're right at the door. I don't know if they're gonna open the door anytime soon. I hope we don't get interrupted. Oh boy. Oh, they're gone. uh, it is all playing. because that's how in English we describe the word we use in conjunction with the word musical instrument. We play an instrument. If you're a fan of anything, not just music, but also, let's say, sports, there's, I think there comes a time where it is not enough for you to be just a spectator. So this is an analogy for all of life. At one point, one may get an urge to be able to play oneself, not just be a spectator, but a player, either in a game of sports or a musical instrument, even singing without an external instrument, as I said. And I think a major part of it comes from being a spectator doesn't really require us have a body. It may sound kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, uh, being a shamanic healer myself, I know that you can be a spectator of what, let's say, life on Earth as a human in the spirit world. You can observe and even be entertained by what is going on, and actually, uh, you may have a richer experience as a spectator in the spirit from the spirit world because you have a much wider point of view. So if we could observe the drama on Earth from the spirit world, why did we even come down into this body, which can be a sign of imitation, limitation for so many of us? And the answer for me is the music wants to be played, or to put it another way, you wanted to play the music through the body. You wanted to be a player, not just a spectator, not just a bystander, not just a member of the audience. And in the mini concert where I played three short pieces, but I only had 5 minutes. And if you know classical piano, it's kind of difficult to play or to choose a piece of any impact under 5 minutes. So I chose kind of short but high impact pieces, and as such, it was kind of challenging, and the whole event itself was kind of um, it was it was fun to watch the a lot of the things that kind of went wrong, but at the same time, it was all okay because it was all children and parents, and you know anything that involves children, there's chaos, and that's the whole beauty part of the beauty. Uh, Anyways, at first, when I was younger, because being Korean, everyone at my age has learned piano for at least, I don't know, 1 or 2 years when they were young, and that's where everyone got started. I thought I mm, wanted to play better, or become a better piano player to show off. That's typical, in adolescence. And growing up, um, I thought I was trying to share the experience with others, which was also partially true. But after the concert, although I didn't play to the level where I thought was possible I could, more than dissatisfaction, I felt a sense of being overtaken by the pieces that I chose. Even after it was all over, and because I was practicing with uh, not a real acoustic piano, but a digital piano, and in my small room, it was all the experience overall reminded me of how limited the how much limitation I was facing, the limitation of time and the limitation of uh, not having a good instrument to practice on, and because at the venue of the concert there was a grand piano, which was a which I liked, but not so much at the same time because I didn't have time to rehearse beforehand because of all the difficulty in coordination of the event. I thought I would have some time, but I didn't get a chance to even touch. I mean, not so much touch, but really play the pieces at least once on the piano, and that is mostly what I blame for me not playing as smoothly as I thought, because the experience between the difference between a grand piano and a digital piano is like quite large. The mechanism is very different. Anyways, why am I saying all this? Despite all the things that didn't go right, instead of feeling a sense of dissatisfaction or blame, as I said, I was just overtaken by the music. The music wanted to flow through me. And partially because I chose and I committed myself to bringing it about, bringing it, making it a reality, a lived reality, not just for myself, but for others. But at the same time, well, music needs ears to that which can appreciate. So therefore, maybe we do need some spectators in our lives. Or let me put it this way. When we're talking about a show called Your Life, others are the spectators and sometimes the characters in the show as well. But we are each the main character of our own lives. And I think it pays to experience what it's really like being a main character of anything. Not just, for example, having a 5-minute window where you play your own musical instrument that you've been practicing. The feeling of letting something like a piece of music come through you is really hard to describe in words. The thrill, the exhilaration, the rush of energy coursing through your body. And that is why We want to live it vicariously by watching other people's performances in music or sports or even TV shows or movies, other forms of entertainment. When we think of the word entertainment or entertain, enter means, enter, tain. Um, when we think of the word contain means to have. So you are taking something in, and that is always a form of energy, and especially an emotional rush of energy. So entertainment is just our way of having a chance to feel something, a common emotion through this experience. And that is the whole point of this drama. We want a rich experience full of emotions, the roller coaster. And I, when I was younger, I didn't know the point of much entertainment. I still don't watch, uh, I still don't go watch movies, or there are not much like TV shows. I only watch some YouTube, and that's all. And part of that was because I didn't like being taken away by all kinds of emotions. And now I understand better what that was about. All the forms of entertainment out there wasn't really to my taste, or the emotions those forms of entertainment conveyed. A lot of fear, sometimes violence, sometimes loss, competition, even actual physical fighting. And I guess I didn't really want to take those in. But I'm all over the place today. I know, but I know this is my way of making the music. And since we're all talking about the music, your life is a form of masterpiece, a potential masterpiece. And that is the piece of music, a poetry, or even a whole play or movie. And we don't know what that will look like or feel like until the end, until the finale of uh, the music or the play or the show. Well, if you know Korean, you may have heard my son saying something about, I don't know. There, he's also playing his own play. When we consume a form of entertainment, all we want to do is we want to feel something. But no other entertainment will match the level of being taken over by a some kind of feeling other than you living out your own play and being the star in your own life. And what I would be doing in what I will be doing in this channel uh, with the new branding and theme, I would be touching upon many spiritual cliches, and I will be paraphrasing or shedding a new light on them, providing a new way of looking at them, new perspective, new lens. The difficulty and problem with many of the cliches is how we the established associations. So, for example, as I described, the reason why I didn't really resonate with the conventional means of entertainment was I didn't really like how they made me feel. So, when we talk about being a star in your own show or movie, sometimes, well, it comes with both the positive and the negative association. So, being a star and knowing how many stars, real world stars out there live their lives, how their lives are full of ups and downs, although their highs may be much higher than the average normal people, but also their lows are terribly low. It's understandable you may not be in that game. You may not want to be in that game. But what is interesting is that you won't be living the full thrill of what your life could be. Most people don't choose to be the star in their own lives because they don't have the capacity to withstand all the intense feelings. Okay, it can go both ways. You can get too much addicted to the drama, or you just shun from all kinds of drama like I did in the past and choose to numb out, dumb down, uh, stuff your emotions out altogether. And neither is the way to go, neither is the way to live. Uh, but there is another way, there's a kind of a middle way, which can be described as emotional containment, containing, just holding it in your body and then let it pass. And if you can get used to that practice, your whole life could change. And that is essentially how you learn step by step, practicing with everyday emotions first. And then when you build the capacity to feel more and more intense feelings, then you will need less and less external sources of entertainment. And there have been mystics from different traditions. For example, the Sufi dervishes. From what I understand, they used a form of spiral dancing in order to reach a state of ecstasy, one with being the divine, because Sufis were religious mystics in Islam. Or there are other like traditions in almost every religion and almost every tradition of accessing the source of all feelings and potential ecstasy within the body. And that is what we are here to do. And that is why we sometimes experiment with a lot of different substances, food, maybe recreational drugs, or even a form of social relational drama to feel a lot of different feelings. But the joke is we can produce any kind of a feeling all internally, and every person is different. What kind of a feeling we're here to feel, or what will trigger the feeling that we're here to feel. But the commonality between all of those is you don't necessarily need an external substance to feel that way. Any external substance or situation can be a trigger. And of course, they're like props in a play or movie, or the scenario or the background setting, whatever. But you end up feeling a lot lighter knowing that you're really free. And that was just one way of describing what it really means to have everything within you, to everything you need, to have everything you need within you. Well, because of a lot of distraction I had, I can still hear my son in the background. Uh, I wasn't really eloquent in today's video, but I'm not always eloquent. Well, I tend to take a lot of pauses, and I used to not like it, but now I understand and appreciate what that is all about, and that is a big part of being me. Pausing to let the presence speak through me. So, letting the music find you, to go back to where we started. I need to tie this back and deliver on the promise. You need to be prepared. You need to prepare your body mostly, because that is the vehicle. And one uh, metaphor or one expression that I read from a book some time ago, interestingly, was a book on entrepreneurship, but it was talking about musical instrument. That's where I got the idea of practicing a musical instrument. Was it is all about not you playing the music, but being prepared so that the music can come through you, preparing your vehicle body plus the instrument in combination to be in a state of enough proficiency so that when the music hits, you have the stamina capacity and the skills, the skill levels, and you're nervous system, your whole body, the, I don't know, neurons, synapses, they're all ready and able to handle that flow. And in one way, that's what I realized in not being able to handle the, not just the uh, demands of a grand piano, but also the energy that I've picked up from the audience. It is very different, of course, practicing alone and playing in front of a whole audience, no matter the size, actually. But the point was the energy of the occasion and the pieces, because I pick um, challenging yet entertaining, high energy pieces, short but very impactful pieces. One of them was a Chopin etude. And if you know anything about classical piano, that's pretty hard to pull off for an amateur, right? To perform it. And I realized that was the difference between me and all the professional players. And incidentally, coincidentally, now there's a Chopin piano competition going on. So all the professional or would-be professional piano players from the world gathering in one place. And of course, there's a huge difference from their playing and mine, but at the same time, uh, it's all about how open and capable, uh, how big of an energetic flow you can handle as a vessel or a vehicle or a conduit. So the bigger you can let the flow, the bigger amount of flow you can allow to come through you. And here, your physical vehicle is a big part. The higher level of refinement you can experience. So, for example, I mean, to continue on to the piano example, the difference between professional players who are competing in a professional level and me is not just the level of skills, but how refined the levels of skills are. I could tackle the same pieces that they're playing, but mine will be much slower or duller. I don't know. It wouldn't be as bright or scintillating as their professional playing. And that is the difference. So in a sense, what I'm saying is your life is not as bright or scintillating as you would like because you are not a professional at playing your own life. See, I spent the last 33 minutes to be able to get to this saying. This is my process, and that is why yeah, I recently discovered this is my style and this is how I am meant to work. But it's not easy for me to get to the point because I need all the raw material, all the buildup, and then I'll hit it. And that is maybe why I like I mean, classical piano so much because there's a lot of buildup in the long pieces and in the climax after 9 or 10 minutes in a short piece, or I don't know, for like a symphony, you have like 20, 30 minutes, but in the end, you know it was all worth it. And that is also a nice metaphor for life. But anyways, letting the music of your life, letting the music find you, letting the music that is your life find you. and let it play out, you need to be prepared. You need to be preparing yourself, practicing being the main character. Also, as sort of an actor, if we're talking about, movie or play, you need to be skillful at letting the inspiration work through you. That is another way of saying letting the music play through you. And one important criteria is emotional stamina. You want to be able to handle many kind of different emotions and depth of emotions, kinds and depth of emotions. Because that is what we're here for. Not only because being able to feel many different emotions will help you in the process of manifestation, although I don't like that word that much. Feeling is the key to everything. And I have to repeat or agree with so many other manifestation teachers, even famous ones, on that regard, in that regard, because that is true. And when you find that music and let it take over you, in a sense, you will have made it, despite what anyone may say, what life is all about. To me, being able to come to a place where your music finds you and it actually starts to play out as the masterpiece of a movie or drama that is your life, as you as the main character, with you as the main character. That is one big achievement, and you will know because you won't need any kind of external validation once you can reclaim that place in your life. Ah, in so many ways, this video was a continuation of my mini concert this Friday. In that this wasn't the most polished thing, but at the same time, I don't regret having made this, and I have really enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing more. And that is, to me, all that is to it. So, oh my god. Thank you for bearing with me if you're still with me. And this has been Chang for Soul Clinic, and I'll see you in the next one. Let the music alive.